Ethan.
And Andy,
Go
go
to
to
Citi.
Citi.
Well, hello, Andy.
Hello, Ethan.
Here we are again.
It kind of feels like the same old story, but yep, we're back.
Been a couple of peaks and valleys, more valleys.
Yeah, I mean the peaks. They had me believing when they what was that 5-1 homestand. They took 2 of 3 from the Yankees. They had me believing. I should know better.
I know. And the thing is, the pitching has sort of done mostly what it's supposed to do,
Yeah,
but they just can't hit.
yeah, they can't hit. Peterson is an enigma on the pitching side, but it looks like actually Manaea's actually done pretty decently.
Yeah,
I don't know if that means he can move back to the starting rotation or but Peterson's a problem, and obviously they lost Clay Holmes, and that's a huge problem.
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It comes down to they can't they can't get quality at bats. What's that about?
I do not know. Basically, Soto is the only person who's hitting, and he's out for with the flu for 2 days, and they can get 1, 2 hits at most.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I was saying this before we started recording, but the thing I've really come to the conclusion about is that I don't think Beatty and Vientos are major league regulars. Maybe when Lindor comes back and they move Bichette back to third, those two can be a platoon at first, but to rely on both of them in the lineup day in and day out is just not working.
No, and it's too bad. I mean, they've had a few periods when they've been okay, and Beatty's slightly better defensively, but I don't think they can't hack it.
They can't hack it. It's what's frustrating is, Beatty late last season showed some real signs of progress. Obviously, Vientos had a great 2024, and you kind of dream on building on that, but they just those seem to be flashes in the pan and not the real thing. That's
Yeah.
a problem.
And they certainly can't be high up in the batting order. I mean, if they're the seventh or eighth hitter, maybe, but because of all the injuries, they've had to be relied on more, and they can't.
And then obviously Semion's not hitting. He hit a home run the other day, so um, but he does that and then hits 220 for the rest and weak contact. It's really the problem with this team, besides all the losing, is how boring they are to watch. They're like I remember in the early 80s or the late 70s when those teams sucked. But you didn't have the expectations that they were going to be good, so you kind of like knew what to go into. But there's something really frustrating and boring about watching people who should be more talented than they are play the way they've been playing.
Yeah, I know. It's just none of these players, except I guess for Soto and Lindor, have much personality at all. Like, and there's nothing to really connect. And of course, one of the problems is that they're all new.
Right.
And you don't have the history with them.
Right. Right. Um, they've also had a tremendous amount of bad luck. Apparently, like if you look at the analytics, a lot of the bad balls are finding gloves that typically shouldn't be finding gloves. But then the injury bug, it's unbelievable how many guys get injured.
Yeah.
And when I saw the other day that Soto was out, I was like, I was relieved he had the flu. Like, you know what I mean? That it wasn't like he was going to be on the shelf for another 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. It's grim, Ethan. It is grim.
It is, Andy. No, and we look for things that might make us feel slightly optimistic, and there really isn't much. I mean, the pitching has basically done their job, but then of course you have, Noah McLean having 2 bad starts in a row, which is perfectly normal for a rookie pitcher.
But a disaster for his team. Yeah, and Peralta's been fine. He's not a I don't know. He seemed when we faced him, he seemed much more ace-like than now that we have him. He's fine, but he's not, and he's only making like 8 million this year, so it's not like we're paying him like an ace. But yeah, it's a solid. I would say it's a solid pitching staff. The bullpen's been really good. But yeah, it just comes back down to offense. But you were talking about optimistic signs, and so I think that we should be talking about sort of the resurgence of Benj, and we should talk about Ewing because Ewing is a bit electrifying.
Yeah.
What were your impressions?
No, he is. I mean, he's good in the outfield, and he started off very hot at the plate, though he's cooled down now. But you can tell that he is a major league player. And I mean, who knows? Because he's still a rookie, and he's going to go through ups and downs. But the two of them really seem to make a huge difference when they're up.
I mean, it's sad that like when they're building something, on the rare moments when they're building something, I get excited when either Benj or Ewing is going to come to the plate rather than any of the veterans who are quote unquote proven, except for Soto, of course.
Right.
But he's been fun to. I mean, Ewing has been fun to watch. He reminds me a little bit of Lenny Dykstra in terms of his tenacity. I don't think he's maybe got the same personality issues, which would be a good thing. But he knows how to grind out in a bat. He knows he works pitchers. So it's fantastic to see.
Runs hard, plays hard. No, the two of them, I think, have a bright future. And quite frankly, if we're going to be losing, I would rather be watching them and some of the other people from the minor leagues than, at least you can dream on, what it's going to be like next year when they are a little more experienced.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they brushed Morabito up, and he ended up, I think, took an over for his. I don't think he got a single hit while he was up here. But I do like the concept of, if we're going to suck, let's let the kids play and see what we got. I mean, he seemed a little in over his head.
I know, and I mean, it seems like like Semyon, even though his defense has been good, I don't think it's been quite as electrifying as it was supposed to be. And no matter how much money he's making, I wonder if he should, they let somebody else play second base for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's missed a single game, which
No.
is like, he's a black hole in that lineup. But among many black holes in that lineup, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We talked, I remember several podcasts ago, we talked about MJ Melendez and how exciting he was, but he's showing who he is too. Like
Right.
a reason why he was DFA'd or available on the cheap. Yeah, I guess we need the Jose Iglesias of this year. Who's that going to be? Who's going to bring Grimace in to throw in the first pitch? Because they have very similar records now at this point in this season that they did in 2024, but I don't know. That's asking lightning to strike twice, I think.
I know. And I try to remember how I felt like at this point, and was I as like down on them, or did I really think that they had the ability to make a run for it? Maybe they will if they could. Of course, the first thing is they have to get to 500, and then we can see anything else.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Well, also, if you remember, 2024 was the year after that big sell-off in 2023, and so everybody went into that season talking about it as a year of transition, and that we should start thinking about 2025.
Right.
So when 2024 started off poorly, I don't think anybody was, disappointed because they were 10 games or 11 games under 500, but not disappointed in terms of what their expectations were. This year, everybody's like, oh, this is a 90-win team, and they're lucky to be an 80-win team.
Right.
Lucky to be an 80-win team. So, yeah, I think so. Comparing how you may have felt in 2024, I just think what the expectations were set at going in were a lot different. So,
right. And you had some surprises, like that was Manaya's best year, and he really,
he stepped it up. And then Stearns believed in him, and he's not delivered anywhere near those goods since. It reminds me, 2024 reminded me a little bit, not in terms of how it unfolded, but it's interesting 2024 to 2025, because when the Mets made the World Series in 2015, I thought that they had exceeded what they were supposed to do. Like, I thought like 2015 was going to be a kind of a building year, and I was going to get excited about 2016. Very much in the way 24 was supposed to be a building year. We're supposed to be excited about 2025. It's almost like they jumped the gun the year earlier and then totally shit the bed the next day or the next year. Interesting.
It is. And of course, I mean, that was the year when they made the big trade for Cespedes at the trading deadline. And I can't imagine them pulling off a big trade. And if they did, that would really matter for this year.
I can't remember. I remember they were treading water pretty much in 2015 when they made that trade. They were not buried in any way, shape, or form, because it was not a foolish trade. It wasn't like, grasping at straws. But like, if they keep playing this way, there's no reason to do anything but sell.
Yep.
And they might start thinking about it sooner than later. I'd like to see what happens when Lindor comes back. I don't know when that's going to be before they really push the panic button. But
And I mean, I guess this is in the grasping at straws, but there was sort of an injury report the other day that people seem to be progressing faster than they thought. That Lindor has started baseball activities. That Alvarez
Alvarez seems
is
that,
yeah,
yeah.
which is weird. That it's like he keeps on getting injured, but he keeps on coming back very
He
fast.
does. His injuries are weird. I mean, those
Hmm.
thumb injuries, I have a hard time calling somebody injury prone when they're jamming their thumb or
Hmm.
falling on their thumb. That's like, that could happen to you and me.
Yeah,
It's the soft tissue stuff, the muscle tears and the tendons and cartilage tears. Those are the ones that you go, is he not put together right? And so
right.
this was a weird injury to me.
I think Lindor coming back, that should stabilize the team a little bit.
It's going to cost Beatty and Vientos playing time, which is good because they don't
Hmm.
deserve the playing time they've been getting. Honestly, it kind of comes down to Bo Bichette figuring it out
Hmm.
because without that, with him being an automatic out, and Mendoza stubbornly keeps him up in the top of the lineup. Like if he's going to work it out, he can work it out in the 7 hole too. Like Benj has turned things around, but then you've got this kind of automatic out before you get to Soto. Like
Hmm.
I know it'd be lefty, 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 but I would love to see Ewing, especially against a righty, Ewing, Benj, and Soto in that top three. I think those are guys who know how to work a pitcher, know how to grind it out.
Right. Start off the game getting several hits, even if like later in the game there's strategy to get around that. But
Sure. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then the other thing, we talked about this once before, how I was beginning to get on the get rid of Mendoza bandwagon, and it's probably too late to do anything now. I mean, you could still do it, but like the other day when Peterson was pitching and he didn't back up
I
home,
know.
like those are the kinds of things that can't happen, and those are the kinds of things that bad teams do. And
And those are the things that the manager has control over or
managers and
should have.
coaches, and
Yeah.
I don't, Ron Darling was talking about it, that
Hmm.
like it didn't seem anybody was getting on Peterson in the dugout about it,
Hmm.
and maybe they dealt with it later. But like, heads need to roll, sparks need to fly. I mean, this team is in the doldrums, and when you don't do something as basic, I mean, we backed up bases when I played high school baseball. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy.
At this point, probably the only alternative really is Beltran as a new manager since he's in the. But I mean, would it even want it? I mean, I know he wants to be a manager, but
Yeah. But now with these
yeah.
guys, I don't know. I don't know. I
Mhm.
I, I think I stand by what I said. If Bichette is going to just be like this all year, they I don't care who comes back. I don't think
Yeah.
they've got it. I don't think they've got the horses. If he turns it on and there's regression to the mean for him,
Hmm.
then that he could be in for some big
Right.
hits. But
Well, that is the thing. Semyon is not going to suddenly become a
no,
great hitter again. I mean, he's old and he's losing it. But
and he was for the
Bish,
last 2 years too.
right. But Bichette, has been a great hitter for the last number of years. So he should
Yeah,
turn it on at some point.
what he's doing right now is unprecedented in his
Hmm.
career. It's like it does not match the back of his baseball card, as they say,
Yeah.
in the least. So, um, yeah, Soto and the kids are like the only bright spots in that lineup. Oh God, it's just terrible. It's like
Mhm.
feels like we do the same podcast
I
every
know.
time. And I was excited because they had that homestand. I thought finally we're gonna
Yeah.
like be able to talk about good things. And it's always great to take 2 or 3 from the Yankees, if
Yes.
not sweep. Always. So we will always have
Right.
that.
And then when they had that burst in the last inning of the night,
Oh, that
yeah,
that
yeah. I
that
mean,
10 run inning,
yeah,
was it 10 runs?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, in the 12th. Yeah, that was fantastic. And that kind of made you think, okay, maybe the dam is broken.
Hmm.
But
The one, as we said, the pitching has been good.
mm,
Peralta has been average,
mhm,
and he's certainly been a stabilizing
mhm.
force. McLean, unfortunately, is suffering some growing pains, which is perfectly understandable for a rookie pitcher. But and he's going to figure it out and start throwing up zeros again. But these last two games, and it's like you're starting to count on him, and when he
Right.
doesn't have it, it makes it seem that much worse.
Right. When you find yourself in a position counting on a rookie pitcher, then you have to sort of take a step back. Like you said, it's
Hmm.
totally normal for a rookie pitcher to go through it a little bit. But it's just so disappointing because we sort of thought of him as the new DeGrom, maybe not
Hmm.
that good, but
Hmm.
yeah. So when he gets his butt kicked 2 games in a row, you're like, now what? And Tong has been his ERA makes him look spectacular, but he walked 4 guys in 3 innings yesterday. So um, I don't know that he's ready
Yeah.
yet.
Though I have to say, in terms of managing and coaching, I mean, for whatever reason, the thing of having an opener and having Tong coming in seems to be working. And I guess they figured something out that he needs.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I still find the whole opener thing to be bizarre.
I agree.
And I also think it's like, okay, so I'll keep Brasban in for an inning and then bring in Tong. But Brasban's one of those guys who can go 2 innings. So what happens later? What happens if
Right.
Tong doesn't get through and you wish you had Brasban for the fifth and sixth? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know. I find it very odd strategy, but
Yeah.
whatever.
But I mean, Tong obviously has the talent, and he just has to figure out how to control it. So
Right. Right. He's got that funky delivery, but
yeah.
it's a little less funky this year. I think they
Hmm.
toned it down a little bit. I think his arm ankle's a little less severe because I watched him. And I thought I remember him being a little more bendy,
Hmm.
twisty, twerky kind of thing. Let's talk about. We'll go back to the past because
Hmm.
that's always where we
Yep.
go for something good. Talk about this weekend's Mets Hall of Fame inductees.
Right. Bobby Valentine and Lee Mazzilli.
That's right. What are your thoughts and memories about those guys?
I mean, Maz, I didn't follow him as much when he first came up with the Mets, but I mean, he's, a true New Yorker. And when he came back in '86, it was like the perfect extra thing that just, put the team over the top and gave you something to talk about. And it made such a difference. And Bobby Valentine, was a character in all kinds of ways, but he was very successful and he seemed to get the most out of all his players. And, and certainly, after 9/11, he was a real leader
Yeah,
off the field.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think I will never ever think of Bobby Valentine without thinking about the time he came back with the eye black
yeah.
mustache and all that. That's his famous moment. But yeah, he was a solid manager. I mean, Valentine's reputation has always been that he's very smart and he knows it. You know what I mean, for better or worse.
Right.
And Mazzilli, I mean, you kind of nailed it. That his return in '86, he was so good as a pinch hitter. Kind of what Rusty Staub had been to. And I did follow the Mets pretty closely, even back when he first came up. And he came up during very difficult years for this team, and he was literally the only thing anybody cared about. I think it was the '79, was it '79
Mhm.
All Star game where he hit that opposite field home run to tie it up, and then I think he walked with the bases loaded to knock in the winning run. And I remember being so upset he didn't get MVP of the of the All Star game, but back in those days, there was nobody was going to represent the Mets in the All Star game but Lee Mazzilli.
Yeah.
He was, the matinee idol, and a lot of the women in New York went gaga for him, and that was a little annoying for a 13-year-old boy. But yeah, I mean, he was the one thing you could look forward to in a very bleak period of time for the Mets. I'm glad they're both getting in the Hall of Fame. I think they both have a really important place in Mets lore and Mets history. So it's good to see.
No, I agree. And Bobby Valentine, it's like, he got, Benny Agbayani, is not a great player, but he got the most out of him.
Yeah,
And, that seems to be what a manager should be able to do
yeah,
is take what he has and get the maximum
yeah.
output and
And
do it.
and that made Agbayani just such a lovable character,
Hmm.
right? Like we loved that guy. He One place that Valentine really messed up was Kaz Matsui. I remember he hyped Kaz Matsui like this guy was you know going to be the greatest shortstop, and he couldn't even backhand. Remember? Do you
Yeah,
remember
yeah, I
Matsui
do.
used to run
And
around the ball so he could get everything on the forehand?
right, and they move Reyes to
And
second
then
in
move
order
Reyes to
to.
second. And then Reyes blew out his hamstring that year. And oh my goodness. My brother has this theory that because Matsui played in Japan and nobody really knew what he looked like or who he was, that somebody on the plane on the way over bopped him on the head, knocked him out, tied him up, and assumed his identity because the guy we were told was coming
Yeah.
was not the guy we saw.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad these guys are getting their due.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. And I think that um, Cone has been much better than the Wilpons were about
Hmm.
honoring, you know, the traditions of the Mets.
Yeah. No, I think it's made a difference. And I mean, well, of course, this leads into the very minor tempest about Morabito getting Gary Carter's 8 uniform, which is a completely silly story. But it just goes to show you back in the Wilpons, like nobody's number was retired
I
basically.
know. I mean, who the Seavers was retired
Yeah.
back in those days. Casey Stengel
Single.
and Gil Hodges.
Yeah.
So two managers
And,
and
and
one
one player.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. I do think they got to be a little bit careful and not be the Yankees about this, and
Hmm.
run out of numbers. And Keith obviously was iconic player. I have misgivings about Doc Gooden as much as I love Doc Gooden. He
Hmm.
really let this team down in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. So I was a little on the fence about whether that was a good retiree, but whatever.
I know. And Carter certainly was a terrific catcher, but in the end, he really only had a season and a half where he was really good with the Mets,
That's
and
true,
just like he went into the Hall of Fame as an Expo,
which
which
he should have.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think they should be retiring,
yeah,
even unofficially, Carter's number. It's only because they've only won 2 World Series in their whole life, and the most memorable one because it was more recent, even though it was
hmm,
40 years ago. That's why Carter gets that kind of respect.
yeah,
He was a great
yeah,
player
oh
and
yeah,
Hall of Fame player, obviously, but like you said, just a couple of seasons tops with the Mets at that level.
yeah.
So
And I think Cohen has sort of made up for some of the failings of the Wilpons and retire. So I think you've covered 86 and David Wright. I think now you're at a point where you can be much more choosy
a little more
about,
selective
yeah,
about it. Yeah, I would agree. And honestly, I don't know who else you would retire at this point.
yeah,
Rafael Santana.
no, and not Jose Reyes.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah,
yeah, I don't know, and yeah, it's like, and you're probably not going to retire Matt Harvey or Cespedes, whatever their numbers were. I forget now.
yeah.
It's
I don't even know.
it's a
Matt Harvey's a real lesson in just like, and Degrom to a certain degree too, just how fragile pitching can be. You know what I
hmm,
mean? Like a couple of ill-timed injuries, and that's that.
right,
I mean, I don't know. DeGrom, as good as he's been, I don't know that he's a Hall of Famer, honestly. I don't know that he's had it. I don't know that he's been great for long enough because of all those injuries.
yeah, and I don't think he's won 200 games yet. He's like 100 something.
I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
looked, but yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. I mean,
yeah,
he missed huge chunks of many, many seasons. So,
yeah. No, I mean, it would only be because if people start judging by other, metrics and whatever,
which they will have to
too.
at some
But
point. Um, I remember watching DeGrom pitch. It made me nervous. He was so good that it made me nervous that he would like give up a run and that would that would be a black mark on his record. It's weird because I loved watching Harvey pitch, but DeGrom, it was like I wanted perfection from him every time. It's weird to be nervous when your ace is on the mound. And it wasn't about injury. It was
mhm,
just about like, don't give up 3 runs. Don't let that ERA get over 2.
I
You know
know.
what I mean?
Well, also, unfortunately, give up one run and then the Mets
Oh
don't
yeah,
score. And
that's the other thing too. That's true. He lost a lot
yeah,
of games that he deserved to win.
yeah.
That's true.
It's been good talking with you, Andy.
As always, we skipped a week or two in here, and it's good to be back in the saddle.
Yes, even if the Mets are still in the same place they were.
They never changed saddles this season.
But thank you for listening to another episode of Ethan
And Andy,
Go
go
to
to
City.
Citi.